see if it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that might be a good idea. Yeah,
it's definitely gone live, mate. There's a little icon just come up.
Okay, brilliant. Happy days.
Live on YouTube.
Live.
So, yeah, we'll just kind of see who joins and what comes along, and we'll just spend an hour just chatting and spinning dits and catch up. Have you all got a wet of you or not? Are you not allowed, Ben, because you're handling it? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that might be a good idea. Yeah,
it's definitely gone live, mate.
See if it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that might be a good idea. Yeah,
it's definitely gone live, mate. There's a little icon just come up.
Okay, brilliant.
Live on YouTube. Live.
Can we get a signaller?
Yeah, we'll just
I was a signaller, but I ain't got a clue what's going on.
There we go. We're in. Okay,
Perfect.
Happy days. Lads, thanks for joining. I just wanted to kind of get everyone together, really, have a quick chat and just see where the hour takes us. Obviously, all of us are doing our own kind of thing at the minute. I'm still in the core, last throws. And for you lads that have moved on, starting gyms, writing books, all really, really good stuff. So, yeah, for those that don't know, we've got Gaz Timmins, former Royal Marine, author. Gaz, what else do you want to be known as?
I'm happy with author at the minute, mate, I think.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
We've got Ben Williams, former Royal Marine as well, now turned author and tech entrepreneur. And we've got obviously Ben Wadham, former Royal Marines PTI, and a lot of the questions I get asked to me specifically are about physical preparation for the core, and I'm probably not best placed for that really, but obviously Ben is. So strength and conditioning coach, gym owner. So any questions for sort of the physical aspects of preparing for Royal Marines training, maybe best placed at Ben really. But yeah, no agenda, just going to chat and see what comes along.
Outstanding. I just want to say that I feel slightly disappointed in this group because I can barely write my own name, and we've got two blokes that have written full books. So I feel
exactly, yeah.
Mate, I can hardly do phys now though. So
nothing's changed, Ben, is it?
No. I got slightly slower. That's what's happened.
Well, Ben, I get the impression, mate, that you're going to be, after that introduction, you're about to be hammered tonight, and in what comes after this.
Yeah.
Have you all got a wet with you? Have you?
Ben's got a breast milk in a bottle, I think.
Yeah, I've
it's only right that we say congratulations, Ben, on the new
yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Congrats, mate.
Erin, is it? Erin as well?
Yeah, Erin, little baby Erin.
Yeah, I've got an Erin. So
yeah, congrats, guys.
Yeah. After the great film Erin Brockovich, my wife made me watch it with Julia Roberts. So,
wife made you watch it, or
well, it's Julia Roberts, mate. So it's not. Yeah, chose to watch it.
I watched Ghost on Friday.
We went.
Now we've had this this discussion, and it's been a hot topic for a long time. It's what's better, Ghost or Dirty Dancing? For me, obviously, Dirty Dancing is the greatest film ever made. But there's a few people out there that think Ghost's better. But
I think Ghost, mate. I would have to go with Ghost, really.
Yeah, about Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, how much of a legend is he, mate?
Sways.
Yeah.
Roadhouse. Come on, Roadhouse.
Or even Point Break.
Yeah, some volume. It's definitely
people tuned in for like good advice to join the Royal Marines. We've just digressed into our Afghan DVD collection.
Talking about what's the best film, Dirty Dancing or Ghost? Not what you'd expect on here.
yeah. What could get you through foundation? Ooh, I don't know. Ghost probably. I've got Ghost.
Yeah, Dirty Dancing. If you watch Dirty Dancing 3 times a week, it would definitely get you physically ready for the Royal Marines. I'm telling you that now.
100%.
One question I get asked a lot, lads, is motivations really for joining the Corps. And I guess everyone's got their own motivations for joining the Corps. But for you personally, what would you say in your early days? What was it that made you sign on that line to join the Corps and not maybe the Army or another arm of the service?
Oh God, I'll jump in first on that one. So my sort of motivation for joining the armed forces was my granddad was in the army, and he's obviously don't know my dad very well. And, my granddad was kind of the main influential male figure in my life, so I was always going to set to join the army. And then one day I saw the TV advert with a lad getting stuck in the water tunnel. Do you remember that? Would you stop here?
That's it.
And obviously he gets out the other side of the tunnel. And ever since that day, I was like, I remember saying it to all my friends, I'm going to join the Royal Marines. And everybody's like, nah, mate, you'll never do it. I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm joining the Royal Marines. And that was for me, like going back, that was my granddad being in the forces. And then that video, I can just remember it being on television in my mum's house and going, that's it. That's what I want to do.
I saw that video, but years later, probably when you saw it, it was like, again, going around on YouTube, and yeah, I was in a bit of a bad place and always wanted to be a Marine, and then that kind of popped up and kind of made me decide that I wanted to go down that road. And actually, to be honest, it was the biggest thing that helped me pluck up the courage to actually go and do it. I don't know about you guys, but I think there's a big leap between wanting to do it and actually doing it. And yeah, seeing that lad who clearly has the lung capacity of a whale in that tunnel, like just keep cracking on. Like, would you stop here? I'm like, I'll be dead by that point. Yeah, it becomes that motivation. And I think for me, once you pass that sort of threshold of the gates, you never want to turn back, because there is a part of you which wants to achieve it. There's a part of you which also doesn't want to go home as well, isn't there? You want to not be one of the massive statistics that didn't make it. So I don't know about you guys, but I found that quite motivating as well.
I think historically the Royal Marines branding and their ability at marketing is absolutely amazing, and in order to like attract the kind of people that end up going on to be successful. And I think for me, my motivation for it really is that I just wanted to be the best. I wanted to be in the best organization outfit, really. I wanted to go on operations, and I was thinking about this prior to this summit. We're always going to be, for me, the Marines, because if I would have been successful in the Marines, I wouldn't have gone in any other armed force. Absolutely not. It were that or nothing. And like you said, Wills, you go on to it, just see if you can do it, and that's what I did. I mean, I didn't think I could do it. I just thought I'm just going to go on there and just give like the very best account that I can do, the best account of myself, and see how I get on. And before you know it, you're in quite an unbelievable stage of training, really. And you're going on to your commando test. But yeah, I mean, I think for all of us, really, you don't think you're going to do it, do you? I don't think anybody thinks they can do it.
I think, yeah, it's very much for me. I took it every day as it came, and I know you shouldn't kind of look too far ahead with stuff, but for me, I just kind of muddled through it. I was never the best recruit. I think I turned out to be an all right Marine, but yeah, I really struggled with training, not only the physical side, but I was just 17 and straight from school. I didn't really know what I was getting into. And yeah, I think I just kind of muddled my way through and got there in the end, like you say, guys. Yeah.
I think with the like training is one of those things when you're young, it's kind of it's kind of survival, isn't it? I don't think, I wasn't the best recruit. I was fit. That was one thing I had my saving grace. I've always been fit, but I wasn't like Diamond, King's Badgeman. And again, when I first passed out of the Marines, I wasn't the greatest soldier in the world because I didn't know my ass from my elbow and I was too scared to talk to anyone. And I think like it took a long time for me to grow into the person that I became within the Marines. I don't think it's one of those things that if you're in training now and you're feeling like a little bit overwhelmed, just keep taking, like Matt says, take one step forward at a time. And from there, before you know it, like Gaz says, you'll be at the end of it. And then 10 years down the line, you'll be on a podcast with us spinning some dits. You never know.
Yeah. I think,
do you know what?
Yeah,
Go on, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I like you, Ben. I mean, I was like just completely. I don't think I kind of found my feet really, and really got my confidence until I left the Marines. I went into private work and started doing that. I think that's when I kind of fully developed. I was still really immature in the Corps, and just I didn't have a lot of self-confidence really. As silly as that sounds, but yeah, it's just just a journey, isn't it? It's a journey that of self-discovery, really.
I remember joining, and like when you join up, it's the whole 32 weeks later. Hopefully, you'll be a Marine. You get a beret, green beret at the end of 30 miler, and that like the moment you join foundation, I remember thinking, "Oh, that's a really long way away now," and because you just think it'll be like that. And I got into the way of thinking that I just never wanted to be outside the troop sergeant's door. That's where I found myself. That I was like, do you know what? It doesn't matter how long this is going to take. I don't want to be back troops. I don't want to fail. Get injured is a different thing, but I don't want to fail. And you remember when they used to, I don't know if they do so much of it now, but they literally, the end of any exercise, at the end of that fortnight, out comes the clipboard. Right, landing. Yeah. Everyone comes to landing, troop sergeant, right, want to see recruits, and go through a list of names, and you're just like, Peter Williams as well, you just, Modern, you'd have got it, just waited to the end like, Jan, yes. Right, if I called your name out back in your grass, yes. Yeah, I remember thinking, like, just get to the end of like each week or each fortnight. That was the main thing, weren't it? Yeah. Don't have your name called out and then move on to the next fortnight.
Did you pick up any nicknames at all, any of you lads? Like, obviously in the Corps and in the military in general, nicknames are a massive thing, aren't they? Did you have any at all? Ben, were you Bungy or?
Hey, I wanted to be Bungy. I really did. But the lads were like, egg. Egghead for you. I remember one of the lads gave me a hard-boiled egg in Afghan. I had to look after it for ages. Yeah, dude, it got a massive payout, that egg.
Yeah.
Did you look after it?
No, it got to about the end of RSOI, and I was like, "What the fuck am I carrying an egg around?" Just loved it. Yeah, that was about as far as I got.
I did get. I had a nickname briefly in training, but it was an old civvy nickname was Wads, and you remember you used to write the first foundation. You have to write your name and number on every piece of equipment you have, and I wrote Wads on my Adobe bucket. I remember the DL coming up to me going, "Wads, who the fuck is Wads?" And he threw that Adobe bucket, and it missed my head by about 2 millimeters and shattered all over the wall behind me. And then the lads were just like, "Right, Wads." I was like, "Yes, brilliant. Cheers, guys."
I got Robocopped up at Faz's. Tried to for missing, but Mark Tinson that did it, and Tux, if you know him, or Mortars. Yeah, and yeah. I said that I put my eyebrows on the fact that I'd pot the black ball during Killer, and it was an impossible pot really. And he said, right, Robocop it. So I did, and obviously missed, and then got Robocopped instantly. So I had to report as for 6 weeks behind the wire as Marine Murphy. So that was nice.
Eyebrows it. What do you eyebrows it for?
What's that?
Why do you eyebrows
it for? Mate. You know what it's like, a bit of peer pressure in the car. You just
mate.
I remember. Ben, were you on that? It's ages ago. Dan Thompson was our stripey, or at least in Lima Company, and we went up to Senny Bridge for just some honking 7 days walking around in Senny Bridge. And there was a lad. Do you remember a lad called Steve Kane?
Yeah, I remember.
He was
in my section.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, iPhone headphones as earplugs at one point. And we were driving up, and he just randomly bleated out on the white coach. He was like, "Yeah, did you know sheep don't drink water?" And everyone was like, "Don't think that's Jen." And he was like, "Yeah, heard it somewhere." Someone just was like, "Eyebrows it." And he was like, eyebrows it. That sheep don't drink water. We're like, okay. Within like 10 minutes, lads are on their phones Googling, like, you got a Bic razor with you in the field. He's like, yeah, straight off.
The thing is, you can't win with that because there's the technicality. You know, I remember being on a ship and we were rolling the mice for whatever reason. One of the lads came in, we're like, if you're rolling odds, your eyebrows go. If you roll an even, you're okay. And he went, yeah, go on then. And then he obviously rolled an odds, lost his eyebrows. I went, well, roll again and see if we can get your psychosides. He was like, yeah, go on then. So he lost his eyebrows and his psychosides up here. And we had to run ashore in Cyprus, and he got the wrens to do a night tick on one eyebrow and a puma sign on the other eyebrow so he could go ashore. Obviously still trapped.
Classic.
They were the days.
There was I should imagine a lot of stuff went on, Ben, when you were down the bottom in the gym there with all the other PTIs. There's all sorts of crazy rules, isn't there, about what you can and can't do, and wearing your lid on the bottom field and things like that. How many lengths of the tank do you reckon you did in your years as a PTI?
Well, I'll tell you a story about how me and Al Gayson got 160 lengths between us. So one afternoon I had my troop doing IMF and he had his troop next door in the gym doing RMCC. It was a Saturday afternoon, no hierarchy. What could go wrong? So I've gone to my troop, right, lads, war cry. You go in there and you fill every single one of them in. If I see any of you backing off, I'll fill you in myself. So I went 3, 2, 1, war cry, and this troop of 60 lads has gone rah, like this. They've ran in next door. I've walked around the corner. Al Gayson's in the middle, throwing nods about 6 foot in the air and slamming them around. And all of a sudden, Martin Stapleton, who's a pro fighter now, and he went, stop, the loud as he could. And this nod had a hole in his head about this big where someone had headbutted him. Luckily, the nod was he was an army lad, and actually we became really, really good friends. He lives out in Canada now. He's a really good lad. But he got a hole in his head here. They had to cut his head off, pull his face down, metal plate him, and then put his face back on.
Cut his head off?
Yeah, I wish they did. I would have got probably less lengths. I would have got sacked, but I would have got no lengths of the tank, so I would have been all right. But yeah, me and Al Gayson, 167 lengths, I think it was, of breaking the ice and doing the tanks for basically smashing a nod's head in with a hole in it like this.
Unbelievable that. What Ben? What are the rules, mate? What are the rules in the PTs?
Right. Okay. So, if you call the word DICE and there's less than I think if you call it and there's less than 11 people in the staff room, you go into the Oggin. If there's over 11 people, you have a roll off. But if the chief of staff's in the staff room and he's got a pen in his hand and you call it, you go in the Oggin. Then you roll the mice, and if whoever rolls the lowest goes in the Oggin. But if someone rolls a double, everybody goes in the Oggin, unless the person next to him rolls a double to counter it and he goes in the Oggin. So that's just some of the rules on the mice. Now that you're not allowed to poo with the toilet door shut. So I remember the RMR lads used to come in, use the toilet, shut the door behind them, and then just pour a big black bin bowl full of water over the top and just drench them. So it's quite funny actually. Loads more.
You can't go to the toilet without the door open, or it's got to be.
Door's got to be wide open. So you'd walk in there, and the RSM or PT branch would be sat there going, "Morning." I'll be like, "Right, morning, sir. Good shit."
Oh,
there's something about the bottom though. Like even on a nod team, as a corporal, I remember going there and you'd like just have to go and knock for a PTI for some reason, and it was just literally you just knock and step away from the door. Like, oh, is Thingy in there? Is it? I'll wait outside. Oh, it's just that place you just don't want to find yourself. Come on in. Nah, I'm all right. I'm all right.
I think one time we had a nod knock on the door, and it was for Mark Bird's PT treat. We were like, "Come on in, mate." He's like, "Okay, staff," and he just walked on into the staff room, sat down. We're like, "Do you want a cup of tea?" He's like, "Oh, that'd be lovely." So we've made him a cup of tea in his mug with his name on it, because you all have your mugs with your name on it. He sat there drinking it. Biscuit. He's like, "Yeah, thank you, Corporal." And then everybody started taking photos. He went, "I'm not meant to be in here, am I?" And we're like, "No, you're not. It's too late now, though, isn't it?" See his leopard crawling for 45 minutes up and down the bottom field.
Week 3, none the wiser.
Oh,
welcome to the core. Oh.
That's one of the questions I get asked a lot is too much about recruit training, I guess. But one of the questions you get asked a lot is, what is your one outstanding or one moment that sticks in your head about recruit training? And for me, it's always the old cheerfulness and adversity moments, because as you know, recruit training, you have some dark times, don't you? And for me, one of the things I always think back to is prior to Christmas leave, we were in the field on Woodbury Common on one of the exercises, like twosome or something like that. Brought Christmas dinner out to us because, of course, we were going to get Christmas dinner, but it was in a hot box. We had it in the field, and on completion of the Christmas meal, we had obviously the old field games where guys were moving up and down as Pac-Man and having, roast potatoes launched at their heads and stuff like that from the training team. And one of the lads was covered in talcum powder, and he was run around as the snowman to we're walking in the air and just the stupid stuff that bootnecks do when they're bored, really. But that's the one thing that kind of sticks in the back of my head from training, other than obviously pass out and things like that. What for you really sort of stands out that one moment?
Getting drummed into camp on your 9 milers is something special, I found. I don't know, 30 milers all right, isn't it? You get to the end and you're just fucked. You're just like, oh, cheers, just want to get on the coach. But the 9 miler, I remember getting drummed in thinking, yeah, this is pretty hoofing. I don't know about you guys. I did find the end of Violent Entry, or one of those big ones, just being completely like drenched, fucked, hanging out, ball bagged, and thinking, this is what it's all about. This is what they want us to do, and feeling quite strong. I remember that sort of final phase of training, going through that, thinking, this is what it means to be a bootneck. And I think, I don't know about you, but I found all the way up to that point, it's like trying to constantly figure it out. Like, what does this all mean? Because I just feel so scrammed right now. But that moment when it's just like, stop, right, start debombing your ammo and all that stuff, like, I could crack on it. And I think that for me is definitely Violent Entry and Final X, of those moments to be like, all right, this is what it means to be a bootneck. Definitely. But drummed into camp is something special as well, isn't it? Unless he gets his tune wrong.
Mate, I agree with everything on that, Ben. Completely, mate. I think Violent Entry, fighting in built-up areas where it used to be, wasn't it? And what else? Dig X stands out as just being absolutely horrific.
Mm-hmm.
We did that on Sennybridge, like minus like double figures. It were absolutely horrific. You just like you dig into kind of you dig into stay warm, and as soon as you stop, you're absolutely ices, and then you're falling asleep and you're waking up like shivering your tits off. That were brutal, Dig X. And yeah, I mean, Final X. I think passing Final X is massively significant in it, because you've kind of shown that you've proved to yourself that that you are capable, that you've done it. You've just got to get your test done then. So I think passing Final X were pretty big for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think now you're saying Dig X, that's just brought a memory flooding back. I can remember spending, I don't know how long it was, 12, 16 hours digging this trench. And I remember one of the lads just went off, and everyone's like, where the fuck is he gone? What's he doing? And all of a sudden he came back with like 4 metal mugs of chicken soup, Redders, and we all just sit there. And I remember stood there in the snow, because it was snowing, like hanging out 2 o'clock in the morning, just sipping this chicken soup, like, fair play, Royal, fair play, like that. And I just remember that chicken soup. I tried it again recently, and it's horrendous, but that chicken soup that I had that time was amazing.
Yeah. How bad is Dig X?
One of the worst experiences of my life. And then it's NBC, isn't it? You go straight into NBC.
Yeah.
And I remember we had the NBC suits on, and we're out on patrol, and like the snow was collecting around the outer boot and making your boot about 16 kilos. And you were like walking with these like blocks of ice and trying to do break contact drills with a respirator in minus conditions was just probably one of the worst experiences of my whole life.
If you ever had to if you're ever in a contact wearing that kind of stuff, there'd be just literally bodies everywhere, wouldn't there?
Oh, you just rap, wouldn't you? Fuck this.
You just lay down. I'd just lay down, mate.
Yeah, just stand up, roll over, just leave yourself. Crack on, lads. You're doing anything with a resi on, it's just, that's the fucking point.
Yeah, I'd just put my hands in the air and say, like, that's it, gentlemen. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
On Telek, we were in Cat 3 Romeo on Telek, and obviously the heat of the desert, and just respirator on, just trying to get a drink from a water bottle, with the old drinking straw and that, and you're expending more energy trying to suck on that straw than you are the water you're getting. It's just like you say, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. A question that I always get asked, lads, is what were the hardest commando test? And I think it's such like an individual thing, isn't it? That it's such like an individual kind of thing, really. So mine were just endurance, really. What about you guys?
Tarzan was. It was just such a short period of time where I've considered ending myself. I was like, oh, I just lobbed myself off a foot, something high here. It's over. Honestly, I've never been so fucked in my whole life.
Yeah,
Don't know why.
it is brutal, isn't it? I mean,
Came as a shock. That's why. It's just like, oh shit, got to dig out on this one.
Ben, you had to do them all again, eh? You had to do them twice. You do it on the PTI's course. You do it all again. Is that right?
Yeah, we do them. Yeah, do them all twice. For me, the Tarzan bottom field, they were kind of like my sort of speciality. I like the sprint, the short, sharp stuff. The endurance course was all right. It's moderate distance, so it's not too bad. But for me, as a nod, the 30 miler was an exceptionally hard challenge for me. I got little legs, and I've never ran long distance before I joined the corps. I always played rugby, so all the sprinting stuff I excelled on. Bottom field, I was all good at. And then that 30 miler, I remember once one of the stripies went to me, do you want to go home and tell your family that you failed and you haven't got your green lid? Or do you want to get your green lid at the end of it? And I thought that was like halfway through. I was like, right. And then I remember like the last bit before the last checkpoint, so I'm like, Ben, eat a packet of jelly babies. And I ate a packet of jelly babies, and that sort of carried me through. But for me, that was the most probably emotional time I've had ever as an individual, because even though you're running it as a team, I just felt like it was me against the team because I couldn't keep up at points and stuff like that. So it was just, I don't know if it was just, for me, that was the worst test. The other three, I'd do them. I'd quite happily go back to Limpston now and do all of them again. But the 30 miler, nah.
That's a strange one, because I've done time on a nod team, and we did, as you know, safety supervising for the 30 milers, and we maybe do, I think I did for 5 or 6 or 7 in the end after I was on a team. And actually, when you do the 30 miler fresh, when there's no pressure, you haven't been thrashed for 8-9 months, you're just there as a corporal to do it, to get the lads around it. It's so much easier, mate. So much easier.
Yeah, I say I ran it as a PTI with a couple of nod troops and
absolutely.
And as extra safety. And like you say, yeah, you're right. Once you've got the element of fatigue out of there and maybe the pressure as well, it's a completely different beast. It's actually a nice day out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wrote an article recently on Dartmoor, and I called it Heaven and Hell because it is exactly that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It can be the most beautiful place in the world in the summer, but you go up there middle of January, 3 a.m. laying on sentry, and it's just horrific. So yeah, I guess that brings us on to then really the whole mental, the side of it. So obviously, I think we probably most of us have read Ben's book now, and the whole commando mindset that we talk about all the time and we try and instill into people. What made you want to write a book, Ben, for starters?
Yeah, I think you need a mindset to write a book in the end.
I think you probably do, yeah.
As I found out, Gaz.
Yeah.
I've become a little bit obsessed with the whole, what do you have before you get to the gate? Because I think that's in a lot of us once you've left the gate as well. Like definitely, I know that's there for me and Ben and Gaz as well, as we've left and gone on to do our own things. You keep applying that mindset. It's not done finished, does it? Just wearing different clothes and still got that attitude. But there's a lot of people which turn up to our gate, don't they? And they fail to make the standard. And the standard can bob and weave all at once throughout the years, but you still got to hit standard, and you still got to put the effort in when the effort's required from you and all these things. And there's a lot which happens within the shadows that no one knows about on Civvy Street, do they? The countless hours you put in cleaning your kit at night, eyeballing your mess tin to see if it's all right for the next day, sleeping on the floor to keep kit muster on your bed, and all these mental things that we do. And I think having reflected now and looking, having taken nods through myself and then left the corps and seeing the whole journey, it's interesting to see what that mindset actually is. And I think the corps does a very good job at bringing it out of us, or at least enhances it. I think most of us, probably you guys would agree as well, the guys turned up with something. I remember seeing some of the fucking hardest people I've ever met were nods in training. Nods I've taken through and nods that you've been through of yourself, where you're like, he's fucking nails. He just like keeps on going. And that was there beforehand. And I think that's where, that was part of writing the book, was bringing that out to people who may never access our world, and show them that a lot of this is within ourselves. You just got to tap into it. And I think the corps does a very good job at helping us understand our equations, and we find that place to bring it out. the courses you guys have gone on done, Ben and Matt, you know, let's be honest, besides selection, they're probably the hardest courses in the military, aren't they? And some even say they're harder. And so, you know, guys carry on cracking on after 32 weeks of training. They still keep putting themselves through the mill. So it's interesting, isn't it? And that was one thing that I always really loved watching. And then stepping away from the core was seeing what was there before, what's there during, and what's there after. I think core is a very good place to bring the best out of you, the very best.
It's interesting what you say there about some of the hardest blokes you've ever seen, because I remember we had a couple of lads in my troop, and you used to look at them. You know, I was like I say, a young 17 scrawny lad straight out of training, and I used to look at some of these guys who were slightly older. They'd been around, they'd done a little bit, and they were absolutely huge. You know, they were stacked to look at. They were, you know, they were beautiful. They were ripped, and they never lasted more than a few weeks, because it's not all about that, is it? It's all about what's up here, as well as, you know, the physical side of it. What about you guys? What was the motivation for your book, mate?
Yeah, so obviously I wrote the diary while I were in training. Started it on the train on the way down to start.
You had loads of time on your hands.
I absolutely, obviously.
You must have been hoofing at Kitmasters.
My admin was so squared away, mate. No, but I get asked all the time now, is it something that I'd tell other people to do? And in like, not that I don't want anybody to follow me in doing it, but like, absolutely not. It just added such a layer of pressure to kind of to finish it and complete it. I mean, obviously, as you know, like when you're in the field, and in particular you're on ambushes or whatever, and you can't just get a diary out and start writing in it. So you'd have to like write little notes on the hands and on the arms and wherever, and then just cross-deck it into the diary. But obviously I did the diary, ended up being like a journal for a complete cycle of training, really, going through as an original. And then only recently, in the last 5 years, last 18 months to 2 years, that I've just started adding in some psychology, 34 lessons. But I think my motivation for writing the book is that I just felt like I had a bookcase at home, and it was just like there, covered in dust, just on its own, and it like lifeless. And I just felt like I had such a duty of care to try and bring that to life, really, and get that account out there. I just felt that in like recent years there'd been various documentaries that had come on, and I don't think they held the core in the best light, and it really, really bothered me, did that. And I thought, you know what, if I felt like I could give it a really good shot at writing a book, and I felt like that my account in its rawest form would really do the core I suppose, us lads some justice, really, that have done that, and that people deserve we deserve for people to read it and know exactly what it takes from start to finish. So that was kind of my motivation for it. But yeah, I mean, from what you said, Ben, I mean, I always thought that, well, I kind of assumed subconsciously that the Marines produced the mindset, and it's not until I've read back through my book, and looked at yours, and I've kind of, in a way, insinuated and alluded to the fact that, yeah, I absolutely believe that you're born with the mindset, and exposure to experience and to your environment and what have you is what nurtures and reinforces what you've already got.
Yeah, mate, I absolutely love that. I think you're right, and I was going to say the same thing, that I think anybody who walks through the gates and then walks out the other side of it with the green lid has got something very similar, and I think very similar inside of them. And I always know this is one of the reasons I know this is because no matter where you go or where you get drafted, if you bump into a bootneck, ex-bootneck, or an old boy, you instantly have a connection with that person on some weird, without being gay or whatever, but on some weird level. You can instantly have a connection with them. You relate to them, and I almost know everything about them straight away. I don't know if that's because we're all the same people or what.
You know, I've put this in. I've put this in my book at the end, mate. I've wrote a section called the personal perspective of psychology of a Royal Marine, and I've put exactly that, Ben, in there, mate. Like, it's like you're subconsciously connected, and you could, you know, like if you meet a friend from Civvy Street, you end up being engaged in all this like small talk nonsense of, hey mate, you all right? What you've been doing? And it's a bit uncomfortable. Whereas you can meet a bootneck that you haven't seen for 10 years, or just somebody new, and it's like you've known each other all your lives. You've never been apart, and you've just kind of just got that comfortable communication, that rapport with them straight away. It's absolutely incredible, really.
Do you think it's a massive thing for me? I find is around trust, especially being in the civilian world now, where fucking hell, integrity doesn't seem to exist. And I remember one of my corporals in training saying integrity is your virginity. In the Corps, you can only lose it once, and it's like stuck with me ever since. Like that is such a profound thing to hear. Is that once it's gone, it's gone. And I find that in Civvy Street, it's like to build trust, I start at the bottom and I have to get to know you to get towards trusting you. But if you bump into like Gaz, like we met through Instagram, for fuck's sake, and Matt, and it's like, because I know your bootnecks, I start with the trust here and it probably never shifts. And like every now and then there'll be a bootneck who lets you down and you drop that little bit for that person. But it's incredible that how we get that way into that thinking and that mindset that everyone's got to start here to work the trust up. With bootnecks, you jump in here and it sort of stays there and that's the way it is. And I think that's, where else do you find that? Like that's quite profound amongst the lads. And I think the core values and integrity is a big thing about that as well. And, you know, having courage there is the ability not just to be like fearless, which is not really a thing, is it? It's the ability to do things outside your comfort zone, but courage is also picking one another up and having that moral courage and debriefing one another, that peer-to-peer recognition, all that type of stuff. And I think that's what makes us us. That really is what makes us us. And I've definitely seen a huge thing in the trust part.
It's funny. It's funny you're saying about like the trust and the sort of this kind of mindset thing. Well, obviously, I've been doing a lot of open water swimming over the last sort of 3 years. Me and two other bootnecks, or two former bootnecks, started it in 2018. And I haven't missed a week since. And it's funny, like I've sort of instilled the mindset from the core into that sort of three boys group, and now everybody that joins the group instantly becomes immersed in like the integrity and that kind of banter side of things. So for me, it's a really, obviously there's loads of bootnecks and ex-bootnecks that swim in the group, but there's loads of people that we've brought in, girls, teachers, people that are struggling mentally with alcohol, whatever it might be. But that group has just become a real like rock thing for me. And I think the nucleus of it was from where we started from is that basic core instinct that you get from being a Marine. I don't know what it is. I don't really know how to explain it because I'm not the best with psychology, but I think I'm trying to pass that on, and that group's just grown and grown and grown and grown, and the same ethos and cheerfulness and face adversity when the waves are crashing over it and it's -4 on the beach, but you don't want to get in the water, but you'll get in the water together. It's kind of it's awesome, really, how it can translate to other parts of your life.
Absolutely. What about you, Matt?
So for me, mate, yeah, I mean, it's interesting what you say there about the whole trusting, and everyone always says in the Corps that everybody, you know, you go on any course in the Corps, junior command course, senior command course, whatever it is, the saying is everyone starts on an A, and I think that relates back exactly to what Ben was saying there. It's exactly how it is. Everyone starts, you know, there's an assumed amount of knowledge, there's an assumed amount of trust, and it's for you to kind of let yourself down, really, or to prove that isn't the case. And it's, you know, I've everything I do is bootneck orientated. I'm still in the Corps. Everyone mainly that I know is really in the Corps, and I haven't had that exposure yet to the civilian world, I guess. And I think that probably will come as a bit of a shock. I guess I think there's definitely, you know, I've done 22 and a half years now, and I think there's definitely going to be a bit of a culture shock when I eventually do leave. But I think as long as you keep those high standards in yourself, don't you? And like you say, you bump into bootnecks everywhere. Someone once said to me that no matter when you go for where you go or when you do it, when you go for a job interview, always make sure you wear a Corps tie, because someone somewhere knows bootneck, or someone somewhere will, you know, have bootneck relations, and straight away it's going to strike a chord, and you know, start the conversation. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
The bootneck thing is 100% true. My wife says that bootnecks are like rats. You're never more than 6 foot away from one.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you some of his stories. Is when we're in Cuba on our honeymoon, the hotel next door, Andy Grant was there with one leg, and there was like going, oh, it's a bootneck over there. I was like, I'm a bootneck. And then we were in Mexico. I tagged myself in. The lads were like, Ben, I'm in the hotel next door, or Alton Towers. Someone's shouting you from across the grass.
Yeah.
It's it's just
When you're just
phenomenal.
about to go down on Oblivion and you're trying to hold it together, and somebody's at the bottom going,
Composure.
Ben.
I was.
Yeah, what? Yeah, no, but that's for me. That is probably one of the, like I say, I keep posting a lot of things on my Instagram about what made me who I am today, and how privileged I am to have been able to complete commando training, and then not just complete it, but go on to have a, you know, what I would consider a pretty good career. You know, like I said to Matt, and we all said I wasn't the greatest bootneck in the beginning, and wasn't the greatest nod, but I grew into that. You know, I got my A on my juniors, I became a PTI, so I did well later on in life in that, and I grew into that role. And I think the people that I've met through the Marines is people, like you say, I've never met people like it anywhere.
No, and a testament to that, lads, is I suppose with my book and getting that to publication, really, because I'd wrote mine. Granted, it wasn't where it is now, but I started speaking to Ben on Instagram, and he were like, right. And I've just written my acknowledgements, and obviously I've shown Ben so he knows. But I mean, it just coming from another bootneck, like Ben, just like, well, like, right, this is what you need to do. You need to do this. You need to do that, and I'll connect you with my literacy agent. And no other person that I'd approach would do that. Nobody would give me an insight into it. It's such a fickle industry where nobody wants to nobody wants to give you any information on how to write or get a book to publication. And obviously I just approached Ben, and we just that bootneck connection straight away. We're just like, right, let's have a look at this, look at that. And yeah, just massive thanks. And that's just, that is testament to what we're currently talking about.
Invoices in the post though.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah.
In theory, I'll have 2 books out there. That was my
Royalty.
That was what I was doing.
Royalties in the post, mate.
No, honestly, it's so true though, because I asked around a lot when I was doing it, and everyone just mugs you off, and you're like,
yeah.
All right, cheers. Is this me or is it not me? And I remember when I shared with you, like, oh, I'll just put you with my agent, and he'll square you away. And I don't know who I spoke to. It was some civvy, and they were like, I was just talking about it, and they were like, are you not worried he's going to sell more books than you and all that stuff? I was like, what the fuck would that matter? Like, good luck to him. Like, if he sells more books, he sells more books, makes more money. I don't give a fuck. It's like the whole idea why we've done this is to show other people the route. If he helps do that, like, I'd have never done it otherwise. So I asked even some ex-military guys when I was doing it, and they just mugged you off, like clean mugged you off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So, cheers, cheers, lads, cheers for that. So when it comes around to happening to someone else, it's like, it helps you on your path, isn't it? I'm glad you are where you are, mate. I think it's hoofing. I think it's really fucking hoofing, to be honest.
No, cheers, mate. And massive, like I said, massive credit to you, mate. Like on just getting over that line, really.
I've always been good with RRTs, so you know. Yeah.
Did you do time on a training team, Ben? Did you?
Yeah, I took nods through for a while. Yeah, I remember seeing, like, honest. I did nods. Yeah.
You did nods, did you?
Good one.
I never did it, mate. It's something that I always, one of my regrets, really, that I never got a chance to do it, because I would have loved to have done it.
Yeah, it was hooping. I was on an awesome team as well. Definitely a couple of teams I did with, like, a lot of lads have gone down the badge route and gone on to do really great careers. And we had a great time. Like when I was with Ben, so me and Ben were in Lima company together, and I was having some snags and got myself mega in the shit, as Ben will remember. Yeah. And that was a good time. And it was actually, once I got through that and then got shown the door to sort of, right, this is the next part of your career. It was because Afghan had ended, isn't it? And I don't know about you guys, but I found that Afghan coming to an end was a bit like, well, what now? You know, and it was quite easy to find yourself in that rut of, a lot of people talk about losing their purpose when you leave the Corps. I remember thinking a lot of lads had lost their purpose in the Corps when Afghan got turned off, literally overnight. You know, that was it was done. And so many lads were like, what the fuck are we, who are we? And even that purposelessness came into the core, which was quite a dangerous thing, which obviously sent G1 through the roof. And I look back on my own things that happened, and I do look at that and go, I reckon I lost my purpose in the core and had to re-establish it. So then to get the opportunity to take nods through, everyone says about this kind of Limpston Eddie, Limpstonite thing, but I don't know if you know John Willis, big 4'5" anti-tanks lad, corporal. He took me through training, and I remember him saying there's two of the proudest days in his life were passing out as a nod. The proudest day was passing nods out. And when you add into everything that you've been through, your oppos you've lost, killed and injured, and the things you've been through, to then be able to fill those boots with impeccable recruits and weed out the shit, that's a real big thing to do. And I remember that was probably one of the highlights of my core, was taking nods through. And your own 30 milers just honking, isn't it? But when you're running over the line with your own nods saying good effort, that's a place where I sort of advise any potential recruit coming through to get to, is pass out, and then when that time comes, go and return the favour. And I loved it.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's nice to, you can very much at the start of training look at guys and think, I think he's probably going to get there, and some others that don't, and some will surprise you. You can't get them all right, but 9 times out of 10 you can kind of look at guys and be like, I think this guy's going to make a good boot neck. And like you say there, Ben, just molding people, teaching them the ways of what we do and how we go about our business. It's just such a satisfying, I've done quite a few recruit troops, and I've always been, sort of been able to stand there at the end and go, right, I've given my everything into what these guys and what I've made them, and that's always a bit of a worry, isn't it? You're sending guys into a unit with your name on them, essentially. You're signing them off and you're putting them in there, but you've got to be able to put your hand on your heart and say, this guy is worthy of wearing that green lid.
Yeah, I found it was a place that helped me keep my own standards up to where they should be as well. I don't know about you guys. Like Ben, you'd have found that within the PT world, it's PTI world. You go back to Limpston and you got to be on top of your game, haven't you? And I found I got to a point in the core when I was sort of Afghan finished and just sort of just going around to like America and in the field, just like, this is shit. And you do. It's not the core's fault. It's you do feel like you stagnate a little bit, don't you? And you're like, time to move on. And so when the opportunity comes, what you do sometimes when you're not on ops or a cycle, you play FIFA or watch Jeremy Kyle till the day ends, and that's pretty much it. But when you go to the nod team, you're in the grots till like 11 o'clock at night, showing them how to do the most trivial of things, but you're invested. That was the biggest thing, was feeling like you're invested. And you get on top of your own shit as well. I learned so much about my own corporals in training when I was a corporal. Like, oh, that's why we had so many breaks down the stances, because he didn't know his PAMs inside out. Corporal, got a question? Yeah, have a break, lads. I'll get back to you. Oh, yeah, he didn't know it, did he? I was always in my notes, like, yeah, lads, have another break. 5.56 millimeter. Right, okay. Right, back in.
Hang on those metal rafters while I read my PAMs until you think, lads.
Fruit bats.
Yeah.
They will drop off until I know the marksmanship principle.
I think going back to that, I think my time at Limpston, like on the staff, was obviously the staff is in a place, it's an experience, because the games, the banter, it is non-stop. You get in that staff room and someone brings a push bike in and someone will go, I can do a bigger wheelie than you. No, you can't. Next thing you know, 2 days later, they're still having a wheelie off on push bikes. It's an alpha male competitive environment, and like the fun and games is brilliant. But one thing that I always remember from that place is the standards were the standards. And like you say, crisp white shoes, iron shorts, perfect vests, perfect movement on the gym floor, perfect demos, perfect wording. If you said sit-ups instead of sit up, you'd be in the tank. You put an S on the end of those words, you're in the Oggin, and it was like perfection. And I think like I'm going back to what Matt said, so you get your favourites. You kind of, after the first couple of weeks, you know who's going to pass and you know who's not, and then there's a couple you're not sure on. I'm in a real privileged position now that with my job I get to help lads before they even get to training, which is, for me, having recruits passed out was amazing, helping lads get into training and watching them grow and do their own thing and have their own careers, and them always coming back to me for advice. And I'm not even in the Corps. I wasn't in the Corps when I helped him. Was like something that I feel I didn't have a dad, but I'm sure that must be what having a dad is like. Is being in the Corps, isn't it? Because every man that's older, you use your dad in the Corps. And they give you advice, and anybody who helps you in the Corps is that kind of can be that father figure, can't they? You know, and it's for me, it's you know, giving back to the Corps. I'm even currently trying to join the Royal Marines Reserves, but I've been declared medically unfit, believe it or not. So
You know, you'll have to have a haircut, mate.
No, mate. I've already spoken to Tommy Roberts, mate. He's always going to swear me away. Don't you worry about that. What mullet?
Yeah, tuck it under your beret. If
That's
it's under your
another
beret,
level.
it's yours.
Yeah.
How many years growth? How many months growth is that?
It's a month older than my oldest daughter, and she turns 18 months at the end of this month. So
I was so jealous.
It's a class, mate.
Do you know what, mate? It's the world's worst haircut. But I was training in my front garden yesterday morning, and the postman walked past. He went, "I got 2 cards for you." I was like, "Cheers," mate. He went, "Amazing haircut, by the way." And I was like, yeah, "Cheers, bro." Ask my wife if she likes it, and then we'll have a different story.
Yeah. Quality.
Love it. Love it.
Lads, there's a couple of questions coming on the live from Instagram, and one of them is why the put my teeth in, why the specializations that you chose, and I think I never really went out to be an ML. I never set out to be an ML. It wasn't really something that crossed my mind. I just kind of fell into it. Is that how you went down that line, Ben, or were you always? Because when I knew you as a Marine, I think you'd just been pinged for SIGs. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be an ML actually.
Okay.
That was when I joined Recce Troop. That's what I really, really wanted to be.
Yeah, okay.
And for whatever reason, it didn't happen. And I just fell in love with Fizz. And then I naturally was playing a lot of sport at the time. So I played a lot of rugby for the Corps, Navy under 23s. I was playing for a civilian club and getting paid to play on the weekends as well. And I went off the fact that maybe I liked being a prima donna and beautiful and manicured nails, sunbeds and cold showers. Maybe I like that more than walking around in the mountains. And I just sort of, I don't know. I think one of the ultimate factors as well for me going PTI was there's a guy called Glyn McNary who got badged and lost his leg out in Afghan on his first tours.
He were the PTI on my PRMC.
Yeah, see, he took my
scariest bloke ever.
Yeah, Scary McNary.
Scary.
Yeah. He took my troop through training, and it just so happens that he lives 5 minutes away from my mum's house. And I remember walking down the street as a nod going, "All right, staff." He's like, "It's not fucking staff in Civvy Street." And then we became, after like we passed that, we went to Afghan together, Herrick 5, and he went off and got badged. And I kind of like, he was like kind of like a sort of a role model for me. So I think eventually the reason why I went PTI is because Scary was a PTI and he was my PTI, and that's kind of what led me down that path, I think, ultimately.
Yeah.
I think the whole role model thing is massive. So when I passed out, I went to K Company, and my first section commander was Matt Hughes, who was an ML. And so maybe there is that thing in the back of your head, you know, you don't necessarily want to choose it, or you don't necessarily choose it, but it's always there. And it's been, you know, the old Darren Brown sketch, you know, that seed's been planted without you knowing about it.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that. I think sometimes you find those people in the Corps and you end up becoming a very similar person to, when you look back on it, actually, were you the same as what he was? Yeah, I did the same. I had apart from going badged, I mirrored his career, you know?
That's it. I had GD corporals, and I stayed GD the whole time and just bobbed and weaved the whole finger of ping. And I think a little bit of it was every crusty bloke in the mess was always like, every time I bump into him, like, "You need to get SQ, sort your life out." Like, I'm having a great career, literally having an awesome career. And swerved 10 years as GD, and I wouldn't advise that now. Towards the end of my career as GD, I was like, GD looks Webster's and they're hunting down everyone who's GD. But I don't know about you guys. You sign up to be a soldier, don't you? And if you're lucky, which I think I was, which not many people are, with the whole pinging thing, is you get to stay that GD rifleman. And I stayed in Lima Company for years, and it was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Bit shit sometimes. But.
Yeah, I stayed GD as well.
GD. There I go, GD.
GD Warriors.
Yeah, I
Rival
had
belly.
no. I didn't fancy PTI. I had obviously massive respect as you do. ML likewise as well. I just thought I'd just stay GD really. Like you said, like you, Wills. I just enjoyed doing what I was doing really, and I think obviously everybody wants to be an ML, everybody wants to be a PTI, everybody wants to be a sniper, but there's a rite of passage to that, isn't there? And I think outside of those specializations, there were nothing really that interested me in terms of specializing. But yeah, I think talking about mindset, like I've spoke to Matt before on an Instagram live, I think when you then go on to do your MLs and your PTIs and your snipes, I think in particular your MLs and your PTIs, I think it's a step up again in mindset, in my opinion. I think you're going into a really obscure kind of mindset there, really, of another step up, another level up, really.
You've got to want it as well, haven't you? I did the hills a few times, and that unfortunately saw to the end of my career just through injury. And that was for me where I wanted to go. I wanted to stay GD and then go to Pool. And then when that unfortunately got put down and that was it, I was like, well, there's not much I can else do it. And then I started going down the MD chain anyway. That's where they started getting rid of me. But I think you find yourself in that world of if you want to soldier or you want to carry fucking stores around all your life because your section commander was a storeman or something mental like that, you do follow in the footsteps. I remember Dan Thompson. Ben, you know Dan well. Matt, you'll know Dan.
Yeah.
He ended up being my neighbour around here for a while. And even then, when I saw him, I was like, all right, Dan? How's it going, Ben? All right. But he tried getting me to go down the ML route. I remember it quite clearly. It's like, you'd make a great ML. You should fucking try it. And I remember thinking, I don't want it. Like, that was it for me. Like, I don't want it. And it was nothing against the SQ. It's just I didn't want it. And I think that's, a lot of people watching this or rewatching it will be thinking about joining the Corps. You got to want it. The reason all of us got through is that we wanted it and we believed we could get it. You end up achieving it. There's so many things in the Corps, like those SQs that 8, 9, 10 months worth of investment plus everything beforehand. A lot of people just see the courses, don't they? They don't see the year's prep up to that point. And you've got to want it, because the moment it gets really fucking ninja, that's the moment you're like, I don't want this. It's so easy to wrap. And I never wanted to wrap on anything. So I always thought, I'm not going to put myself into a situation where I know I'm probably going to wrap anyway. I think that's where it got to me from where I wanted. I just wanted to run around and play bang sticks, on Dartmoor.
Exactly. It's exactly the same for me, mate. Once I'd done training, I was like, in a sense, like completely spent mentally. And like you said, I didn't want anything else. I didn't want to take anything else on, especially fucking MLs or course or PT course or going on selection. I think if I had my time now, and obviously it's always amazing being sat on this warm settee with a bit of in comfort, really. For anybody that's watching, I'd join the Corps, spend 2 years and give selection a bash. Absolutely. But it's easy to say that now. It would. I felt differently then. And,
do you think that's an ops thing though? I remember my mind switched to SF when ops all finished, and it was like, oh fucking hell, where are we going to go and shoot stuff? A lot of lads I spoke to said that.
For me, really, mate. If I'm being honest, when I were a young lad, I'd got to the end of training, went up to my unit, and I thought it were a bit of an anticlimax. I thought it were a bit of an anticlimax, and I was just worried that if I invested time going off to do other stuff, i.e. selection, that it potentially wouldn't be worth the investment. And it's only since I've been since I previously been working in hostile security, private security and stuff, that you're surrounded by some of them boys that are ex-SF, and you talk to them and you hear the stories, you look at the FOTs and a few Gucci videos, and you think, fucking hell, it's actually mega. And I think it's just knowing what they actually do, and some of the jobs and the kit and all stuff like that. I mean, who can not find that appealing as a young lad, really?
A lot of shit that comes with it, though, isn't there? Now you learn
Yes, mate,
when you mature a little bit, don't you? And you go,
Yeah.
"Oh, I wish I was running around and cry." And then you speak to them, and you're like, "I'm divorced." And I'm
and you just got to remember, it's everything's good in the here and now, and everything always, the grass always looks greener.
Yeah.
It necessarily isn't. I think, something I've come to terms with is that, people paint a good picture of how happy and that they are, but behind closed doors, we all suffer. And the people that do the more horrible things tend to suffer more. And that's, you can look at any of those guys that are out there and famous now that have written books. You can see their pain. We did a fraction of what those guys would have done in terms of like close quarter, jumping off the back of a helo into a village and doing what they did. And I think to myself that one of the reasons I left is I wouldn't want to go back to war, if I'm honest. If I'm completely honest with you now, if it all kicked off again today, I probably wouldn't volunteer. If I'm really honest,
mate, I would not touch it with a barge pole, mate. No. Completely done. Yeah. Done. There's no more in me.
No, I would just rather be at home, and at the end of the day, if the world came to it and we had to, and it was a world war and I had to go and fight, I would fight. But I wouldn't go back in time and have that. If I had that choice to go back in time with knowing what I know now, I'd probably have learned how to read and write a book in school.
Yeah.
I think we've all probably rode our luck, haven't we? Like I know some of the situations that I was in on Herrick, they just look back on it and just think, how did we get around that? How did that not end badly? And I think there's only so much luck you can ride before it eventually does run out. And I totally agree with what you say there, Ben. I think we, for us four probably as well, we've all kind of moved on a little bit now, haven't we? We've matured, we've got families and all that sort of stuff. So I guess you probably wouldn't want to. And I spoke to a lad about this the other day. Ad's license, we were chatting, and he said, these young lads are all coming through and they all want ops. And I get that, but you have to be careful what you wish for as well, because, you can find yourself in some pretty gnarly situations that don't always end well.
Well, yeah, I remember the young lads coming out as casualty replacements on Herrick, and they're like, I can't wait to get the rounds down. And I was like, mate, don't wish for it, please. Yeah. Rather we could just finish the rest of this tour without getting another round down, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah. Because you get caught up, don't you, in the draw of it as a young lad. It's like a fly to a luminescent lamp, isn't it? And you're absolutely wanting that. And then,
well, at the end of the day, I joined the Corps with the prospect of going to Afghanistan. So that's what I joined the Corps to do. I joined the Corps to be the best fucking soldier, and to go and fucking do what I trained to do.
Yeah.
I had no family. I had no regrets. If I died out there, obviously I'd have left my mum behind, and my nan and my granddad, and that's about it. And I think it's easy to sit back now as an adult and go, God, I wish I never did all that. But kind of that stuff does make us who we are today. So I feel really sorry for the kids that want to join the Corps to go on ops, but there ain't no ops to go on. But just go pass out for a year, like you said, and just go and do SF. It's not that hard. Probably not. I don't know.
I think Afghan, I was just listening to what you're saying about if it ever happened again, would you go back or not? And I think my answer is yes, but it's not for what the war is or scrapping. I think the sense of belonging and adventure you get in a situation like that, which you can seek in other places, which is exactly what I do now. Otherwise, you'd be finding a way to go and scrap ISIS or something, probably. I found that the most compelling thing is that's like being an elite Marine at its rawest form, was when you're just all malnourished. You're fucked, you're hanging out your ass. And let's be honest, although we're all going, whoa, when the rounds come over your heads, every single person's going, I hope that don't fucking hit me. This is horrible. When will it stop? Like, it's funny, isn't it? It's like this weird parallel between this is completely exhilarating and I hope they stop shooting at me soon. And I think I would like to sort of feel that adventure again. And I think I do, I don't know about you guys, but chasing business and being out in the civvy world, like, I could never work for anyone, because it's not the system or leadership. It's the fact that I want to feel like I'm achieving it. And like last year, Ben, you probably found this, like out doing your own thing. Last year was fucking ninja, like bobbing and weaving through COVID. Like, there's times when I was like, I wish I was back in Afghan, Neger's body armor, no rifle, shouting I'm over here, like, because that would have just been easier. Because it's just so ninja. But I think the spirit within us and the drive and the determination of who we were. You don't give up on that fight. And that's that kind of, let's get this done. Let's fucking scrap on. And that's why we're still here now doing what we're doing. And I think a lot of other lads are as well. And I think that's the thing I miss, is that adventure, that exhilarating adventure that you can't pay for it outside the core. I don't know where this cities pay thousands thing comes from. Well, they do. They pay through the nose, but they do.
Yeah.
They
Matt knows, he's killing
that
it.
feeling, isn't it, of being with the lads out on ops, and it's just you and them. That's what I miss. It's not.
Do you know what, mate? And this is where the open water swimmers come to light for me, is that we get in the sea no matter the conditions. And I mean, we're out there not a week ago Thursday, and we did 400 meters, and I looked up and I thought 3 of the lads were crying. It was that bad. Like, I'd never swam in such bad conditions. Yeah. Everybody was just taking the water, and I was like, I got out and I was stood there dragging people out on the slipway, and I was going, that was the best fucking swim of the year. I fucking love that.
That's your
everybody else is going, mate, that was horrendous. I don't want to go back in. I'm like, I want to go back in. I enjoyed that. Like, you know. So,
that's the rush, isn't it? It's a feeling like you're failing something, but you're going to keep fighting to not fail. That's where it lies. Yeah, interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely, guys. I think we should probably look at kind of wrapping up now. But yeah, thanks for coming on, and it's been great. Just shameless plugs. I guess it would be remiss of us not to do it. Pantheon Plymouth, Ben, when's that opening? What's happening with that?
So as soon as lockdown's over, we'll be open. We're just about finished the upstairs, which is going to have jiu-jitsu, spin class, cafe, yoga room, downstairs CrossFit area, and sort of functional fitness area is all ready to go. So is the bodybuilding area. So as soon as lockdown's over, we are going to hit that ground running. So if you're in Plymouth,
good effort on that, Ben. That's
cheers.
Yeah, that's good for us, mate, especially in the current climate. And whereabouts are you in Plymouth, mate?
Ford, so not far from Stonehouse. So if there's anybody in the local area, bootneck wise, or anybody who's listening who wants to come and train, you'd be more than welcome to come and join us.
Good, mate. Good luck with that, Ben. It sounds amazing, mate.
Thanks, mate. I really appreciate it.
Gaz, book is out when?
I think publication's 18th of July, mate. Pre-order round about May, June time.
Awesome. And becoming the 1%, 0.1%. Website is live. Merchandise.
Yeah, website's live, 0.1, and you just get me on Insta or Facebook, becoming the 0.1 as in the numbers, and then percent as in the letter.
Awesome. Ben, book is out. Great read. Thoroughly recommend.
Yeah.
Get you to sign it at one point. We swing by there.
Can someone come and give me a reading lesson so I can learn how to read, please?
Yeah, there's an audio version. It's my voice as well.
Is it your voice as well, is it?
Yeah.
Perfect if you need to get to sleep.
I'm on it.
That was the most, it is that. That was the most awkward 2.5 days of my life. Yeah, I was literally like, and then the thing can you make it sound more inspiring? Yeah, sure. And then the thing with the stuff. Oh, honestly. Yeah, this has been hoofing to do. Let's do it again.
Let's absolutely do it again. Yeah, it's been brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for joining. Ben, congratulations again on the birth.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, guys. Here she is.
There we go. Stayed quiet throughout as well.
Yeah, a century now.
Yeah, I think I'm on nappy duty. I think she's just had a massive power reg in a nappy. So
pass that one to the missus. Lads, it's been brilliant. Thanks very much for joining me. Take care.
Cheers, lads. Take care.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. Bye bye.